Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this month's Transfer Express webinar. I hope everybody finds their day as beautiful as it is here in Mentor, Ohio. My name is Andy Curtis. I am the training coordinator here at Transfer Express, and I appreciate you joining me today. I want to start the webinar off just by mentioning that we are having some internet issues in our general area here. So if the audio does drop out briefly or if things do slow down briefly, this webinar is being recorded as they are every month, and the full recording will be posted. The recording should not have any audio issues. So if there's any audio issues and we drop out for just a second or you can't hear or something happens, you can always check out the recording that's going to go down. We will have the recording up on our website, transferexpress.com, under the Help and Education section, as always. But with that out of the way, I hope everybody is ready for back to school. Those of you who are parents out there, I'm sure you're saying to yourselves, yes, I am absolutely ready for back to school. Take them now. Or maybe that was just my mother. But anyway, I can't believe the summer's gone already. We're already getting ready for back to school. And this is actually a fantastic time of year for all of us in the garment decoration industry. We have so many opportunities with schools. There's so many ways to get your foot in the door and make money with a school. That's why we're going to call this Back to School, Back to Profits. If you've ever joined me before in the past, you know that I will spend the next 45 minutes talking to you about this topic. If you have any questions as we go, please feel free to type them into the chat box. The webinar software we used updated, so I have not used this new update. I assume I'm still going to see your little chat boxes pop up here. I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. If I do not get to your question, we will contact you afterwards outside the webinar. Otherwise, please feel free to chime in when you like. We're going to discuss, though, how to make profit with getting a school, how to make some money with a school. And if you've joined me before, you know that I talk about this topic from time to time. And you know that I love to talk about how there's a million different ways to get into a school, to make money with a school. It's going to be a fun webinar because we're going to get to combine all these things that I've talked about in some of our past webinars, like when we discussed niche markets a couple months ago, when we discussed sports and how to get baseball teams and soccer teams. It's kind of funny because this school topic, we're going to wrap a whole bunch of those things up into one. So anyway, so thank you everybody for joining me. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I figure the best way to start off is to show you guys what exactly we're going to be talking about here. So today's topics, we're going to talk about uniforms, we're going to talk about sports, clubs and groups, general school events, spirit wear, pricing, artwork, all the extras. There's a lot of things we're going to cover today. So, and it's funny how all these different things, you can see all sorts of applications for them, and it's funny because we don't always have schools in mind. We don't always think of schools. But we're going to talk about how you can use these items for schools, what you can do with them, how you can market them to a school, all that fun stuff. So we're going to talk about a lot of different topics today. And as usual, we're going to cover all of it in 45 minutes to an hour. So we're going to try to make it as quick but educational as possible. So if you want to re-watch the webinar, you can always go back to the recording after we post it on the website. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. The first topic on the list is school uniforms. So school uniforms, this is one of those things that it's kind of regional, I think. I know that there's a lot of places in the country where there's a lot of private schools. There's some areas where there might not be quite so many private schools. Or maybe it's a public school that has a uniform dress code. Regardless, school uniforms are a phenomenal way to make some money. And what's funny is it's generally not that difficult to go about doing. So let's talk about just some typical features of a school uniform. First of all, most school uniforms, the design tends to be 3 to 4.5 inches wide for a left chest. Like the kids you see in the photograph here, they've got about 3.5-inch wide designs on their left chest of their blue polo shirts. That's very typical. That's very standard for a school uniform. The best way to do these is obviously gang sheets. That's the best part about school uniforms, is that the logos are always small. They're never huge, and with a small logo, this means gang sheet. You can get a whole bunch of images on one sheet of paper. So the example that we're showing you to the right, St. Edward's School, we've got 9 of those per sheet. So 9 St. Edward's schools on a sheet, and then we're doing 10 sheets. When you do the math with our per sheet pricing, it works out to be only 45 cents per image. 45 cents per image. You can't beat that. And we're going to talk about pricing, like how you should price that to your customer. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. For the time being, just bear in mind that that would be your cost there, 45 cents per image. Here's the best part, though. The whole reason, if those of you out there who are listening and already have a heat press, there's no reason in the world why you should not be doing school uniforms for any of your local private schools unless you lack private schools in your area. The reason is a heat press is the best, hands down, the best way to do school uniforms. The printing on demand that you can do for them makes you the hero. All right, screen printers got to print all of those shirts ahead of time and then hope they sell them. And if the school orders more than what they've got in stock, they got to print more. And then how many more do you print? Do you print just a couple? Do you print more? What do you do? As a heat press, as somebody operating a heat press, you order gang sheets of these, set them aside in a cool, climate-controlled environment, and those gang sheets will last for a long time. They can last for a couple of years in a lot of cases. We have old transfers here. I literally just pulled a transfer out from under my desk, not yesterday, but the day before, a 7-year-old goof-proof transfer. Now, I did turn the heat up just a little bit more than normally recommended because it was an older transfer, but still worked just fine. So you keep these transfers is the point, and you can print on demand for the customer. So when St. Edward's School comes back to you and says, hey, we only had a couple new kids this year or this month or whatever, we have some transfer kids, we need 4 shirts. You can pull out 4 transfers, smash 4 shirts, and boom, you're done. The printing on demand that you can do when you have a heat press in terms of school uniforms is just phenomenal. You're a lot more practical and option to them than a screen printer for sure. And you're a lot more cost effective than an embroiderer. So you've got both of those things going for you there. So definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. And you know what, Karen, I saw your question pop up, but I only see the first couple words, so I did not get your whole question. Any questions that I don't answer during the course of the webinar, we will get back to you afterwards. So I apologize. I didn't see your whole question there. But so school uniforms, definitely a fantastic way to get your foot in the door also. Keep in mind, when we're talking schools, there's a million places to go with how to decorate for a school. If you can get your foot in the door with uniforms or any of the other items that we're going to talk about, if you sneak your foot in the door with one of these items, then it opens you up to everything else we're going to talk about here in this webinar. And I can say, again, from working with these uniform companies, I've been with Transfer Express for going on 13 years now. And I've worked with a lot of school uniform companies over the years, and it's amazing to me how they get in with this school just by doing the uniforms for them, and then before you know it, they're doing all the sports teams, they're doing all the clubs, they're doing all the other stuff too. So, yeah, David, it can be hard to get into schools. It depends on the competition in your area too, but it's I think one of the ingredients is tenacity. But we're gonna talk about that a little bit more here in some of the upcoming slides. So school uniforms, option number 1. Now, this is the one I almost probably should have put this as slide number 1 because I think this is probably what we all think of when we think of schools, or at least a lot of us. Maybe it's just because we're a sports town here in Metro Ohio, but school sports definitely the big money maker in schools. One of the big money makers, at least. I guess it depends on your school, but here's the strategy, and if you've watched my FFA shirts, there you go, Mike, another good one. We're going to talk about that, Mike. Hold that thought. But the way these school sports work, if you've listened to me talk about this topic before, you know there's a couple strategies you can use to get your way into these schools. First of all, The athletic director is typically the person who orders the uniforms, typically. And figuring out the athletic director at a local school is usually not too difficult. And again, I've used our local high schools here in Mentor as an example for this. We've got a public high school. We have a couple private high schools here in the Mentor area. And all of those schools, when you hit the websites, you can easily see who the athletic director of the school is. So all you need to do is get that person's name, and now you know who you're shooting for. You know who you're going to advertise to. You know who you're going to send your stuff to. You know who to get a hold of. So the athletic director is the person at the school you want to key into. All right? So the athletic director is the person you're going to advertise to. You're going to send them a flyer. You're going to send them samples of what you're capable of doing. You're going to show them what you've done for other schools. So the athletic director is the person to get a hold of. And here's the other thing to keep in mind. Don't just show them the, for example, if we're talking football, all right, and that's the season that you're currently in, and there's where you're going with it. We're going football. If that's the direction you're going, don't think just football jerseys. Take it a step further. What about practice jerseys? What about cinch sacks for the players? Those cinch sacks are super popular right now. It's funny to watch how these things, the trends, we've all seen it, where things get popular and then sort of fade away, get popular, fade away. Cinch sacks are up on the rise again, it seems like. And it's perfect for sports players if you think about it. The athletes, it's perfect for them. Throw it over their shoulder, or some of those cinch sacks can be worn like backpacks. They're perfect. Show the athletic director what you're capable of doing, that it's more than just the football jerseys. Mom and dad shirts, too. Or spirit shirts is another one. Karen, I assume your question was what transfer type is good for a cinch sack. That's a fantastic question, Karen. The question that you have to ask first is, what is my cinch sack made of? Now, I have seen polyester cinch sacks, and I've seen nylon cinch sacks. It all depends on where you're getting them from. It depends on the brands, too, I find. If we're talking a polyester cinch sack, then we can go with a screen printed product. If we're talking polyester, well, there you go, perfect. Polyester. If we're talking about polyester, and denier is one of those words that doesn't mean anything to us as decorators, at least heat press decorators. We don't care about the word denier. So polyester, boom, you're good. You can use a screen printed product. Goof proof works great. If you've got a nylon cinch sack, you're going to want to go with our CAD print product. Our CAD print opaque is the only product we have that works on nylon. So if you're talking about nylon cinch sack, go CAD prints. If you're talking polyester cinch sack, go goof proof, screen print. But the point is, you can offer all these different products to the athletic director and show them what you're capable of. If we're talking track, you can always do track shirts and warm-ups for the track team. Shorts and that kind of thing too. Don't forget, if we're talking about certain sports too, soccer, that kind of thing. Shooter shirts is another good one. Tournament options. If you're living in a town where you know darn well that the sports team always makes it into a tournament, or they always make it into finals, or they're always going somewhere, you got a good team on your hands, then showing them the tournament shirts you're capable of coming up with, champion shirts, tournament shirts, that kind of stuff. So you got to think a little bit outside the box. You have to differentiate yourself from the other people, because you can be sure the athletic directors, at least using, again, the city of Mentor here as an example, we got a couple decorators in our area here, just a couple square miles. And I know that if you're going to get into that school, you have to differentiate yourself just a little bit from those other people. So keep your design hip, keep it interesting, and show them what you're capable of doing. That's how you're going to get into these school sports. And this can be another great in also, because once you've sort of nudged your way in with the athletic director, then you've got access to all these other topics we're going to talk about too. So look for the athletic director, advertise to that person, postcards and flyers and examples of your work. Once you've got in with the sports, do not forget the clubs and organizations. We talked about this in detail with, I think it was last month or the month before, we did a webinar called Marketing to Niche Markets, and we talked about this one. Uh, you know what, David? Your question about do we show them designs? Show them all sorts of stuff. Your creativity is something that's going to win that school over. And now you know your area better than we do, obviously. But most of the country, I think we're at a point now where schools are looking for something different. You don't want the same thing over and over again. They want something creative, something the kids want to buy. That's the whole point. If you're going to generate school spirit, if you're going to generate sales for spirit products, it has to be something that kids actively want to purchase. So it's got to be something fun and interesting, different. So show them everything. Don't just show them their logo. Don't just show them uh, the things that they've had in the past. Show them something new, something different. But so clubs and organizations, we talked about this last month with niche markets. Clubs and organizations don't get a lot of attention because they're a smaller group than the sports. The sports are easy to figure out. You can go to the local high school, Mentor High School. You can go to their website and see who the athletic director is. You can even see who the coaches are for the sports teams. But when it comes to the clubs and organizations, those people can be a little bit more difficult to track down. But we're still talking about groups of people that need shirts. And here's a thought for you. Because they are a little harder to track down, these are people in your city might not be marketing to yet because they are harder to track down. Okay? So hit your school's website, do a little bit of digging. You're looking for the advisor, the student advisor, the teacher advisor for this club. That's what the goal is. We locate the advisor, and that's the person who has the push to do the purchasing. Worst comes to worst, if you have kids who are going to this school, or you have friends who have kids who are going to this school, find a student who's in that club and get them to take a flyer to the advisor. All right. We're going to talk about our Easy View process in a little bit. Our Easy View makes creating flyers very, very simple. All right, especially that creative aspect we were just talking about a minute ago. So this is one of those things that it's going to take you a little bit of extra effort. And are the clubs going to order as many shirts as the sports? Maybe not. But again, it's another way in. It's another way to get the school's attention. This is another way to secure business from that school. It's just an issue of finding the right people to talk to in this case. All right, so hit the internet, search the school's website, find a student in one of these groups. You're looking for the advisor. You're looking for the faculty advisor, the student advisor, the person with purchasing power. Once you contact them, blow them away with the shirt options and the designs that you can come up with our Easy View process, and you snag that club or organization without a problem. This is a big one too, spiritware. Spiritware is one of those things that you can make a whole lot of money on. It all depends about how you go about doing it. I think spiritware is one of those things where you certainly have to pull out the big guns when it comes to creativity, because you're asking the students to decide to wear their school's logo. And we know how teenagers can be sometimes about, the attitude and that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that if you're asking these kids to actively wear their school's logo, their school's name, and support their school, it has to be something cool. It has to look neat. It has to be something that catches their eye. Whether it be bling or whether it be a cutting-edge design, and we have all of that. We have all of those options for you. It comes down to what you're looking for. So first of all, selling to the school bookstore, fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. Some schools can afford to buy their own heat press. They can do it themselves, but that's few and far between. There are plenty of schools out there that don't have their own printing equipment. They don't have their own heat press. They don't have the ability to make their own T-shirts. So it's perfect for you to offer your services to the school bookstore. So create flyers for them to send home. Easy to do with our Easy View process. All right, set up a table at the games. Have some kind of agreement with the school. Work it out with the school that a portion of every sale that you make goes to the booster club for the football team when you're selling shirts at the football game. Work out your prices such that you can donate 25% of each sale or 50% of each sale, however the math works out for your particular area, your economy where you're at. Donate a chunk of each shirt sold to the school. This allows you to make some profit, and it gets you in with the school, gets you on great terms with the school, even more so. All right. And when we're talking about spiritware and school bookstores and spirit stores, that kind of thing, think outside the T-shirt. Think outside the t-shirt. T-shirts, sweatshirts, yeah, we know. Hoodies are, of course, a staple. Every high school, if you're anything like my high school, I've been out of school for longer than I care to admit, but if you're anything like our high school, hoodies are always going to be a staple. But beyond that, there's other neat things you can do too. Rally towels. Rally towels are huge, and it's funny because that's one of those little fads that popped up and hasn't really gone away just yet. Rally towels are always super super popular. Mouse pads are another great idea. Tote bags, again, you can go back to the cinch sack idea. Those are in right now with the kids. So think outside the t-shirt when we're talking spirit wear, because there's more you can do with your heat press than just those t-shirts. All right, and that's always one of my favorite things to talk about at trade shows when I'm talking live and in person, is because it's always amazing to see people's faces when they realize, oh my gosh, I can do more than just t-shirts with this heat press. So definitely some things to think about. But the school bookstore is another great place to get yourself in at, and it allows you to be really creative too, because now you're not worrying about a specific sport necessarily, you're not worrying about a specific club necessarily, you're coming up with something special, something really cool and eye-popping for Mentor High School, for Perry High School, for whatever high school you're dealing with. So definitely a neat creative outlet for you. And don't forget, when we're talking spirit sales and spirit stores and that kind of thing, don't forget mom and dad. Mom and dad are another option, because there's plenty of parents who walk around the local Mentor area here who have those proud to be a Mentor High School parent, that kind of stuff. We see a lot of those actually. So definitely some neat items. And we're going to talk about at the end of the webinar, we're going to talk about stickers, bumper stickers, that kind of stuff. That's another perfect item, though, for the school store, for the spirit store. Bumper stickers, definitely another way to go. So you got to think outside the t-shirt. You got to think creative. You got to think artistic. And our easy view that we're going to talk about in just a couple seconds here, our easy view can certainly help you with those creative aspects. So if you haven't played with it yet, do so. We'll talk about it in a minute. Events. So I know what you're probably thinking. You're thinking, okay, well, we already talked about sports. We talked about clubs. What are you talking about for events? What number of designs is best to offer, Karen? You know what? That's kind of a tough question. You don't want to overwhelm, but you want to give them a smattering of options, and I think it depends on what exactly you're talking about. But if I was going to market myself to a school for a spirit store right now today, I would probably come up with 6 or 7. And it depends on how many different designs I can do, because I don't want to show them 6 or 7 of the same thing. So it comes down to finding a couple different neat-looking designs. And if that works out to be 5 or 6 or 7, that's great. And that's how I would approach it. But then again, you can't be too creative sometimes too. Anyhow, so when we're talking about school events here, we're talking about all those other things that the schools do. So here's a suggestion for you, and I know this is true with all the local high schools here in Mentor, Ohio. The school calendar is online. It's usually easy to find because you got plenty of parents who are looking to see what's going on at the school, because Jimmy doesn't come home and tell mom and dad what's going on all the time in terms of events. So school calendars are always very updated. They're usually easy to find. And it's perfect for you as a decorator because you know exactly what's going on at the school. And that gives you a perfect opportunity to have some time to come up with something neat in terms of a shirt design, sweatshirt design, that kind of thing, and market it to the school. So approach them early. Don't ever go to a calendar and see an event and think, okay, well, I'm going to talk to the school about this when it gets closer. Don't do that. Start early before they've even started going there. Be the first person to get your foot in the door and score that sale from that school. And again, the motivation here to remind you all of the options that you can get into, all of the possible sales you can snag from that one school, from that one account, from having that one client. So definitely don't be afraid to call and ask and talk to the principal or the athletic director or whomever is handling an event. Find out who that person is and get in with them soon. And then, of course, suggest events, suggest ideas. You can do all sorts of neat little booster sales and fundraiser sales. And I sort of mentioned this on the school spirit slide too, but it's the same thing with these events. An event like this is a perfect time for you to do a fundraiser, actually, for you to have a table set up in which whatever the event is going on for, if it's going on for the football team, if it's going on, I know one of our local schools does a family carnival every year. That's a perfect example. At the family carnival, have a table with some shirts and say that X amount of profit for all of these shirts goes to next year's family carnival, or goes to new textbooks for whatever. The whole catch is to make sure you have an agreement with the school about how much of each shirt is going to the school. Make sure that you do your math proper, because you want to make sure you're making some profit off this too. That's the name of the game after all. But there's always a chunk that you can be donating, and that, again, ingratiates you with the school even more. And when you get in with the school, you get more orders, you get more business, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure you see where we're going with that. So definitely don't be afraid to suggest ways to use shirts and garments to generate more sales and generate more money for them. Help organize the events, suggest the events. Now, this is another one that might be a little bit more local than anything else, but definitely a neat idea here, school plays. School plays, here in Mentor, we do them constantly. The school does at least one big play every year. There's usually, sometimes there's two productions. It kind of depends on the faculty that particular year. But the school plays are another great way to make money, because somebody needs to print these logos for them. And here's a little bit of information for everybody out there, because I know this is something that we get asked a lot. When a school purchases the rights to do a play, they also get the rights to produce those logos. So if your school has purchased the rights to be able to do Disney's Beauty and the Beast as a play, then yes, you can print Beauty and the Beast t-shirts for them, as long as you've confirmed that they do have the proper permission. So definitely a way to get yourself in at the school too. And something that the schools don't always think about, and something for you to offer them, cast lists. Why not do cast lists? Not only do you do the play's logo for the front of the shirt, you do the cast list on the back, and it's something to remember, something to cherish. I know Ted Stahl and a lot of the people at Stahl's, we like to remind everybody that you're not really just making t-shirts. You're creating memories. You're supporting memories for these kids, things they did in high school, things they did, their first baseball shirt, their first play, et cetera, et cetera. Tanya, a whiteout. A whiteout is a whiteout's an example of everybody wearing the same color to like an event. Like in the picture from the last slide, everyone was wearing white t-shirts and had the white rally towels. So it was a whiteout. You get the idea there. School, it depends on the school colors too. For example, it could be you could come up with a different theme. A whiteout was just that idea from that particular school with the white colors and all that stuff. But and it's a great opportunity to sell shirts at a whiteout, sell white shirts with the school's logo, that kind of thing. So okay, so I promised we were going to talk about pricing, so let's talk about pricing real quick here. If you've joined me at all before, you know that there is a simple way to do this. There's a very easy way to handle the pricing. This is how you price to the customer. This is how you price it, whether it's at the bookstore or you're selling to the school, whomever the end user is. You're taking the cost of your shirt plus the cost of your transfers times 2. There's your price tag. All right? That's a simple formula that covers all of your extra costs, your shipping, your labor, your overhead, etc. That covers everything. Now, here's the catch to this formula. You can play with it as well. All right? If you're trying to get in with the school, if you're trying to get in with the spirit store, or whatever your situation is, you can offer a discount. You can show them this price, this is the suggested retail value, and knock a little bit of it off. The wholesale cost of the shirt, Mark. You're taking the wholesale cost of the shirt plus the cost of the transfers times 2. Okay, so this is the place to start. Now, is this formula point blank perfect for everybody across the board listening? Maybe not, because the economy in your area might be a little bit different. So maybe you got to tweak this formula just a tiny little bit, but this is a fantastic starting place. All right, So this is where you begin. Maybe you round up, maybe you round down to make it a good clean number, but this is definitely a great place to start. So further on the whole price topic, for those of you, see, there you go, Joe. Tweak it for hoodies like $1.75. That's what I'm talking about, and that's something. That's some experience you'll get as you do this a little bit more. As you continue pricing things and selling to the school, you'll find out where exactly you can go with the price. Hoodies are a great example, though, Joe, because hoodies are super popular. They're big and bulky. You figure there is more value to a hoodie, so you can turn that price up a little bit. But more to the pricing point here, gang sheets. Gang sheet, for those of you who've been doing business with Transfer Express for a long time, you know that we used to have a separate pricing bracket for gang sheets, where if you put multiple designs on a sheet of paper, we had a separate price bracket for that. We had a little bit of an upcharge. January of this year, we eliminated that altogether. No more upcharge, just one flat rate for a sheet of paper. Doesn't matter if you gang it or not, just one flat rate. And that has been one of the most popular decisions we've ever made. You can take that 11 1/4 by 14 sheet of paper. That's what we print our screen print and transfers on. You can take that 11 1/4 by 14 sheet of paper and you fill that up. And what's amazing is you can save so much money simply by loading that up with designs. Now, there's a couple common setups. For example, if you're going to do a hat size transfer, and we haven't even talked about hats yet. Hats are another great thing for schools too. If we're going to do hat size transfers, you can fit 8 of those on a sheet. If you're going to do left chest heart size transfers, there's 6 on a sheet. All right, and a super popular setup would be 1 full size and 2 left chests per sheet. In the example off to the right hand or left hand side here, we've got MHS Student by Day, Rockstar by Night. So we got a really cool full front design, and again, that's a really neat idea for the Spirit Store right there. Because that's slick. That's distressed. The kids like the distressed stuff. 1 color, so it's not super expensive for you. And it's got a catchy saying. How do you like that, you know? Yes, Chris, we do have price breaks. The best bet for that would be to call our customer service department. We can break that down for you. Price breaks from 5 all the way up through 500, so and past 500. So we've got this MHS Student by Day, Rockstar by Night, big full front design on the sheet. Then we still had another, maybe, what is that, like 1/3 of the piece of paper there. So we put a heart size, Property of Mentor, XXL High School. That's a heart size, about 4.5 by 4.5, give or take. So we've got that design on there. And that's super popular too. That's very athletic. That's very very hip right now. And because of that size, 4.5 by 4.5, you can use that for a left chest, or you can put that on a pair of shorts, or a pair of sweatpants, or a pair of yoga pants. There's a bunch of directions there. But then to the left of that design, instead of putting another property of, we just did a rectangular design. And this is where you got to think a little bit about the designs you're showing them. If you choose a rectangular design, something that's wide but short, we could fit more than just one of those Mentor Cardinals designs. You can see we put 2 of them on there. So again, I'm not paying any extra because I'm paying per sheet. So it's not costing me any extra to put another Cardinals on there. So I'm literally making more money by fitting more things on this sheet of transfer paper. So fantastic option. A little update from Firefox there. So a fantastic option, fantastic gang sheet option here. To choose rectangular designs, use rectangular designs to your advantage. So you see how on this one sheet of paper, we managed to fit 4 different designs on here. So just another thought. Make sure, and again, you want to make sure you're being creative still. You're coming up with neat sayings, neat designs, neat pieces of artwork. But if you can make it rectangular and you can cram a bunch of them on that one sheet of paper, it saves you a lot of money. All right. So we've been talking about artwork. We've been discussing it. This is a screenshot. Now, I think at this point, just about everybody out there in listing land, you've probably heard of our new Easy View process, and a lot of you have probably played with it. I hope everybody has actually had a chance to play with it. Easy View is basically a junior version of graphic design software right on transferexpress.com. You can access our whole library of artwork. You can access everything that we offer. You can put it all together, see it, color it live on the spot there, size it, look at it on a t-shirt. It's literally the perfect one-stop place to design your shirt, order your shirts, get the transfers ready to go. It's staggering almost what you can do with our Easy View process. And something that we like to point out at the trade shows, we like to point out to people is we developed this software, Transfer Express. We developed this Easy View software with the help of CADWorks. This software cost us a couple $1 million to develop, and we give it to you for free. All you have to do is have an account with Transfer Express. You log on with your dealer ID number and your password, and boom. And I think Joe just did point out it was a little harder to learn, perhaps, than our old Easy View process. And you know what? You're totally right. It is a little bit. It takes a little bit of a learning curve to learn it. But once you get in there and you get your hands dirty and you set aside a minute to play with it, it's actually pretty intuitive. It's not too difficult to use. It just takes some exploring and some clicking and some messing around and remembering that as long as you don't submit the order, you can do whatever you want. See, my cohort behind the scenes just posted, I don't know if everyone saw that little message pop up, but we did actually just do a big tutorial on how to use Easy View. So if you ever have questions, if there's ever questions, if you're playing with Easy View and you're sitting there thinking, gosh, there's got to be a way to do this, always give us a call. Our customer service reps have been trained in Easy View, and we sort of dropped them into it just like you all. We assigned them every day for a couple of weeks. We assigned them, here's a design you have to make for me. We didn't show them how to work the buttons. We didn't show them how to work the menus. It was just learn it. Get your hands in there, get dirty, and learn how to use it. And so our reps have been in the same position that you're in when you just bring it up for the first time. You're looking at it going, oh my gosh, look at all these options. So definitely a place to start. Now, by using the preview and share feature on our Easy View, you can download the designs you make, and you can use those downloaded JPEGs to put together flyers, to put together all the stuff we've been talking about. We have actually also in our help and education section of our website, we have blank flyers where there is little blank squares for you to import the designs you made in Easy View, pop them into the flyer, and boom, you have a professional looking flyer ready to go. So lots of stuff you can do, not just beyond showing the high school the shirts, but putting together advertising for yourself. Lots of stuff you can do with Easy View. And something I want to point out to everybody, at one of the live events that I did at a trade show, I think it might have been about a year ago, what I did was I took a layout. It was not this QSL 145, but this is still a great example. I took a layout and I customized it 9 different ways for everybody by using just one layout. And this QSL 145 is a perfect example because it's generic. All it says is Compton High School with the eagle head. It's got a neat scripty font and it's got the stripes behind it. You can take this one design. I took one design, customized it 9 different ways. I had a design for a high school. I had a design for cheerleaders. I had a design for a tattoo parlor. I had a design for a landscaping company, all using the same design and just changing the text and changing the clip art, changing the colors. So that's just one design. That's one design. You could come up with a whole bunch of different ways to use it. There are over 5,000 designs available in our idea book, available on Easy View, over 5,000 designs. And again, the whole point is you can change the text, mess around with it, change it, make it look the way you want, or using our Easy View process, you can say forget it and start from scratch. Add your own text. Choose the clip art from the catalog that you want instead of using one of the ones that's pre-put together. All you got to do is add your school's name, the mascot, and boom, you're good to go. So it's fun how you can take these designs, and especially if you get a popular design. This happens a lot. We have a lot of customers come back and tell us that, hey, I did these shirts for the football team, the basketball team saw them and wanted them too. We hear that all the time. So definitely another neat feature of Easy View, all the artwork that's available there. So I've said it a couple times during the webinar. Let's start talking about outside the t-shirts. Let's talk about Let's talk about things that don't need a heat press. Ooh. These non-apparel products, we're going to talk about a couple of them here. First of all, locker graphics. Locker graphics. This is a neat idea. This is something that I would have loved back when I was in high school, actually. It's a neat idea to get your foot in the door also. They're very inexpensive. They can be about $1 a piece, depending on what size you go with, 4x4, 5x5, whatever. What makes these locker graphics cool is they're actually repositionable. You can take the sticker, you can peel it right back off the locker and replace it. It's a wall graphic, but using it for a locker, using it for a metal door as opposed to just a wall. So repositionable, great keepsake after the year is over with. Applies to windows and walls and doors, metal surfaces, basically any flat, non-textured surface. These graphics are going to stick to you just fine. And you can actually write on them, as you can see the picture on the right-hand side there. You can actually write on them in permanent marker, and it looks great, works just fine. So labeling kids' lockers, or not even lockers, cubby holes. This is a neat concept for teachers, too. You could totally sell these to elementary school teachers without a problem. And $1 a piece, real easy. So locker graphics, great way to go, a great, neat little add-on item for the school. And speaking of add-on items, that's what all of these non-apparel products are great for. All these non-apparel products are perfect for add-ons. They're easy ways to take the school's mascot that you're already printing, take the logo that you're already doing for the school, and work it into something else. So you can take that Plymouth Devils logo that you've already done with the growling devil head, and now, instead of transfers, you're making stickers. All right, and you can get really creative with colors because we're printing these in a digital fashion. The amount of colors doesn't matter. So you can go nuts with colorful designs, off-the-wall artwork, neat things, and again, you're trying to get students' attention. You're trying to get kids' attention. We were talking about bumper stickers a couple minutes ago. You come up with something cool, come up with something neat, and you'll totally snag those sales without a problem. All right, and especially if they already like the design too. It's the same idea. If you did a design that was super popular for the football team, everybody liked the shirts, maybe it'll work as a bumper sticker or a window sticker or something like that, a window cling even. We offer window decals, which are permanent, like the picture on the left-hand side there, the East Overlook Bulldogs. That's a window decal. That's stuck on the outside of the truck and is not meant to peel off. They are semi-permanent. We've got window clings, which are those flimsy little plastic things that actually just static cling right to the window. Those are for inside use, so those are another fun item. And then stickers. We have the general stickers, just the basic use stickers. We've got the bumper stickers as well, so a whole bunch of different options there depending on what you're trying to do. And of course, banners and wall graphics. Banners are perfect, even for your use. The example on the top left there of a spiritware sale, definitely a great way to use a banner there, advertise your stuff. But beyond that, the bottom left there is another great use of a banner where you've got the picture of the class, you've got the champions, a great way to celebrate. Banners are a fantastic way just to get another little add-on, and the wall graphics. Just like the locker graphics we talked about a minute ago, the wall graphics are repositionable. They don't leave any schmutz on the wall. You can peel them off and put them up wherever you want to put them. It's great for spirit. It's great to celebrate. Locker room motivation is another great thing to do with the wall graphics. Some kind of Yogi Berra quote or a football-related quote, slap that sucker on the wall of the locker room, and you're set to go. Beverly, the banners come pretty big. The maximum size, I believe the maximum size we offer is 6 or 7 feet. But mind you, we have some flexibility there, Beverly. So the best thing to do is if you have a banner in mind, give us a call. We can talk it out with you. But definitely some great options here, some great add-ons. Okay, guys. Okay. We managed to get through that in 45 minutes. There are a lot of things you can do for these schools. There's a lot of ways to get your foot in the door. Half of the battle is knowing who to go to at the school. Knowing who to go to, knowing who does what at the school, figuring out that person. That's half the battle a lot of time. If you can figure out who's in charge of whatever you're targeting, then you've at least got an in. So, now, that being said, we're going to have the recording of this posted the next day or so up on the Help and Education section of TransferExpress.com. If you have any questions or any suggestions, if you have a topic you would love to see a webinar on, email us, info@transferexpress.com. Check out our blog at Transfer Express. Everything that I've talked about today, we have discussed at one point or another on the Transfer Express blog. Our marketing department does a phenomenal job of keeping the information there fresh and interesting and fun. Or always give us a call. I am looking very forward to next month, September 11th. We are going to do Sew Up Profits by adding heat printing. We're going to target all you embroiderers out there. We're going to talk about what exactly a heat press can do for your embroidery business. So that'll be September 11th from 2 to 3. I appreciate everybody for joining me today. I've seen a bunch of little chat windows pop up. I tried to answer as many as I can. Those of you who I didn't answer, it's most likely because I couldn't read your whole question. So we're going to get back to you individually, I promise. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming today. I hope everybody got something out of this, and I look forward to joining you next month for Sew Up the Profits by adding heat printing. Have a fantastic rest of your day, folks.